Yes, you should go.
Okay. Hello and welcome to Honey Badger Radio number 71. I feel like it should be higher than 71, but it isn't, so it is indeed 71. Feminist Feels the Burdening Part 2, wherein we revisit Feminist Feels the Burdening Part 1, the article on Feminist Feels, because everybody knows that feminists feel for all of us.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Praise the goddess or whatever it is that they do.
Praise the goddess. Praise the goddess of feels. Praise cat. What is that blasphemy? Shush you. We'll have no Cthulhu-esque satanic beings invoked tonight.
Yeah.
Pepe.
Okay.
All right.
So let's just jump right into it, right?
Oh wait. Okay. Good news.
Okay.
Good news. Good news. We finally have possession. Yay! I think. I mean, I'm pretty sure we're at the point of no return in terms of possession. All of the hysteria that I spoke about yesterday seems to have been resolved. For those of you who don't know, we are purchasing an office space, and it has been an odyssey. It has definitely opened my eyes to the red tape of the Canadian government. And to be honest, it's not a very controversial or high risk purchase. So this is it's definitely opened my eyes to the difficulty of starting these kinds of initiatives. It's almost a Herculean task to find it and procure a space. So there you go. But we are in the final stretch. Tomorrow I should be getting the keys to the Badger Cave. And it should be it's a moment of celebration, but more it's like a moment of thank the fuck it's over, rather than necessarily celebration. But anyway, thank you to everybody who helped out. You made it happen. We did it. We are here. Let's do it.
Okay. And for people who are wondering, my dog is walking again, more or less. She's just slightly clumsy, but she seems to be coming back pretty strong. So I'm happy for that, and thanks for people who asked. I'm only saying this now because there are people who asked me to mention it on the stream, so I'm mentioning it. So, oh boy. You remember last week we had an article entitled 50 Ways People Expect Constant Emotional Labor from Women and Femmes. Let me share my screen with the folks that I'm talking to right now so you guys can see what I'm seeing. Alright, so we got through 20 of them. So now we're going to continue on number 21, and I'm going to read 10 of them, and then we'll pick the ones that we're most interested in discussing. All right. Number 21. We feel the pressure to avoid looking or acting too feminine out of fear that people will judge us negatively, not take us seriously, or make assumptions about us. Number 22. We feel pressure to avoid looking or acting too masculine out of fear that people will ridicule us, deem us undesirable, or distrust our gender identity. Number 23. We are judged more harshly if we don't keep our living spaces neat, succeed at cooking and other forms of homemaking, and do a great job entertaining guests. Number 24. When we are hosting people from out of town, we're expected to not just give them a couch to crash on, but also keep the fridge and pantry stocked to their liking, show them around like tour guides, provide them with comfortable living spaces, and constantly be available to them. I'm not making this up. This is what it says. I'm just reading it. Number 25. We're expected to constantly ask questions and make observations to keep conversations going, while men often get away with waiting for others to ask questions and giving one-word answers. Number 26. Our significant others expect us to initiate important conversations like defining the terms of the relationship, taking stock of how the relationship is going, and addressing conflicts. Number 27. When we decide not to enter into a relationship, we risk being guilted for failing to reward a nice guy who deserves our affections. Number 28. When we end a relationship, we are often demonized and blamed for not doing enough to maintain it, even if we devoted extensive time and energy to discussing problems and trying to make the relationship work. Number 29. We're expected to provide our children and other people under our care with the majority of the emotional support and caretaking that they need. And number 30. We're expected to keep the peace with our cohabitants under all conditions, facilitate bonding between us and our roommates, put up with disruptive behavior, and if we have male roommates, do the majority of the housework.
Oh, it's all deadening.
Well, the last one was pretty telling. Do women have roommates in general, or was this written by a college student? It was written by a college student, wasn't it?
It sounds like it was written by a college student.
It sounds like it was written by a child.
Written by somebody who's never lived in the real world and doesn't know any men.
I mean, number 21 and 22 right off the bat could be swapped over. We feel pressure to avoid looking or acting too feminine or masculine. Exactly the same goes for men. Especially being too masculine, by the way. You get called hypermasculine and autistic and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then, of course, you always hear feminists talking about toxic masculinity. You never hear them talking about toxic femininity. I mean, whose gender gets labeled toxic?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
You know, truth be told, there's a version, like I have said about the previous sets, there's a version of every single one of these that happens to men too. Except, of course, the number 25. Number 25 is just flat out bullshit. Nobody has to do that unless they're in a one-on-one conversation, and then both sides of the conversation have to do that because that's what a conversation fucking is. If you don't want to ask questions and make observations to keep a conversation going, don't participate in a conversation.
Well,
yeah.
While men often get away with waiting for others to ask questions, men often get away with waiting for their turn to speak, as opposed to interrupting. If we don't do that, we call interrupting.
Yes, never get a word in edgewise. No.
Man-interrupting or man waiting for other people to answer questions.
Like mansplaining anything, any observations a man makes are wrong, right? So, mansplaining, no, you can't say anything.
You know what, the thing is that collectively, all of these together, first of all, a lot of them have to do with just being an adult. Anybody, if you're an adult with people under your care, the nature of having people under your care is that you have to be responsible for them. That's the nature of being an adult with people under your care. And that the rest of this stuff is just, a lot of it is just complaining about adulthood and adult interactions and the expectation of maintaining an adult level of social interaction. Which, I can understand as somebody who suffers from social anxiety. I can have difficulty maintaining it, but I don't think that's exclusively a female expectation. Men are very much expected to maintain social interactions and take the responsibility of initiating social interactions, especially when it comes to, if this was an article, if we were in like Bizarro World, this man, if he would be a man, and he would be talking about the expectation of men to initiate courtship in the same terms, but it's not even recognized in this particular article that might actually be something that's difficult to do and stressful, and it might be considered a form of emotional labor. Where it's expect us, 26, our significant others expect us to initiate important conversations like defining the terms of the relationship. Is that not controlling?
Yeah.
That seems really fucking controlling to me. Why would they... So men expect you to define the terms of your relationship. Really?
Yeah, no, women take the liberty of defining the terms of the relationship, taking stock of how the relationship is going, dragging men into the we need to talk about our relationship conversation. I've only ever had to deal with that with one guy, and that was how we broke up. You don't call somebody when they're dealing with 3 different respiratory infections and say, let's talk right now. Anyway, that was stupid. But no, this is not normally a male behavior at all, and it's mostly a female behavior, mainly because women get neurotic about their relationships and then they inflict their neurosis on men. And then at the other end of it, you've got number 27. If we decide not to enter a relationship, we risk being guilted for failing to reward a nice guy. Oh, boo-hoo. If men decide not to enter into a relationship, they risk getting thrown in jail on a false rape accusation, especially in India, where they can risk getting thrown in jail on a false rape accusation for breach of promise to marry. You know, even
or in
if
Canada,
there wasn't a promise.
Or in
Yeah,
Canada,
or in Canada.
if your name is
And
I forget his name, Aaron Gianni.
I don't know.
Not Aaron Gianni, not him. No, not him. The actor that
Giameshi?
Yes.
Yeah.
Giameshi.
Yes, Giameshi. Yeah, he didn't want to get a relationship, so instead he got a rape charge. Well,
And
allegedly,
it's
he
not
might have
like
been.
there wasn't a history of that either. I mean, if you look up the unknown history of misandry, there's a whole section on heart balm lawsuits where women would sue men for failing to marry them if they thought there was a promise. You know, so a chick has sex with you, and then she wants to be your girlfriend, and you don't want to be her boyfriend. You know, she can turn around and get you into all sorts of trouble. You can get your ass kicked. You can get in trouble with the cops. You can all kinds of shit. But no, you might be guilt tripped a little bit for failing to reward a nice guy. That's just such a big deal. Like, you can't walk away from people that say things to you that you don't like.
Yeah, but also men get that too. You know, she's such a nice girl. Why don't you?
Yeah.
Number 28. When we end a relationship, we're often demonized and blamed for not doing enough to maintain it, even if we devoted extensive time and energy to discussing problems and trying to make the relationship work. Discussing problems don't solve them. Why weren't you solving problems or dealing with them or living with them? Like, all right. But the other thing is that lots of guys get blamed for an end of relationship too. In fact, it's really common to hear guys immediately jump to, "What did you do?"
Yeah, what did you do?
What did you do?
Hell, go to marriage counselor sometime. It's all his fault, no matter what is going on in them. If she's cheating, it's all his fault. She must be cheating because he did something wrong, right? So it's always the guy's fault. In society's eyes, in his friend's eyes, in her friend's eyes, in their family's eyes, and a lot of guys blame themselves for the end of a relationship. So, yeah, no, it's the idea of we're often demonized and blamed for not doing enough to maintain it. Bullshit.
Just 29 is fucking amazing. We're expected to provide our children and other people under our care with the majority of the emotional support and caretaking they need. That's what under your care means. It's like that one that Mike pointed out, the conversation one. That's what a conversation is. Two people doing the work to keep the conversation alive.
What's really crappy about this one is women who would complain about this would still expect it from their husbands and boyfriends. And they expect their husbands and boyfriends to do it the way a woman wants it to be done, not the way that the husband or boyfriend might think to do it because of it's the way he would want it to be done. So, and they don't tell him what they want, and then they get mad at him because he doesn't know.
There seems to be a real lack of desire to be things like accountable, responsible, a participant in a conversation, in a relationship. It's like laziness and fear and just plain like cold-heartedness is written in here. I mean, and it's also taking on the victimhood. Like I noticed that when I was reading all these, they started out with things like feeling pressure, being expected to do things, being judged, being guilted, and all this other shit. And it's like, first off, most of those, the way that they are phrasing it, most of these things are just, this is simply what is expected if you're going to function in civilized society with other people. It doesn't have a gender. It's just what, like Allison said, it's just what being an adult is. You handle your relationships, you take care of children. just like anybody else would. This whole, if you you're expected to keep the peace with the cohabitants under all conditions, facilitate bonding between us and our roommates. So, are you saying that you would rather not do that? That you want to live in a hostile home environment? Is this something that you're used to? Just like, we're expected to provide our children and under our care with the majority of the emotional support and caretaking. Then, yeah. All right. What do you think is passable? This is like, guys, if you see a woman or women, if you see a guy that has these opinions, run the fuck away. You don't want those people in your life, whether they're your friends or in a relationship or whatever, because they don't care about anybody but themselves. The way that this is worded is narcissistic to the extreme. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is what Suzanne, I forget her, Suzanne Weiss, this is probably her thinking. I'm looking at her other articles, but yeah, just run away, man.
Okay, let's go one at a time, because it seems like with the absence of Karen to rub her e-peen all over us, imposture, it seems to go a little bit quicker. So.
Okay. All right, number 31. When we are survivors of sexual misconduct, people sympathize with the perpetrator to the extent that we feel bad about hurting their reputation due to a misunderstanding or ruining their lives for reporting a crime. Only
if you lied about it.
Yeah.
No, this is.
What is sexual misconduct, though?
I don't know. Smiling, making a joke about the guy who was like, who said they're raping everyone up in here.
Oh, you mean like telling somebody your name is humongous?
Yeah, sexual misconduct covers everything from what feminists would interpret as sexual harassment to full-on rape.
Oh, so also it would also include using your biology or using her biology against her. So
yes, absolutely.
A situation of sexual misconduct would be a man looking a little too sexy that day. Okay, all right. It's just like a mire. It's like quicksand.
If we're gonna go over this one, I gotta say something, because it kind of pissed me off just seeing that men and boys who are survivors of sexual misconduct by women and girls are fucking congratulated. How many times do you expect to hear a female rape accuser, whether she's a victim or not, a female rape accuser? How many times do you expect somebody, oh, hey, you got raped? High five! No, nobody does that. But yeah, if it's an 11-year-old boy who gets raped by his teacher, oh, what a stud! Congratulations.
Yeah.
No.
Congratulations.
That's a little bit worse.
Congratulations, you get to pay child support now.
Nice. Yeah, and then the state goes after him for child support. Or they're, if they do get a chance to be heard complaining about it, if they do actually get a chance to report it, they're treated like wimps or liars or accused of, letting it happen because they could have pushed her off or whatever. Yeah, you could have engaged in violence against a woman and nobody would have said anything because you were being raped, right? Or their sexuality. Oh, you must be gay. Their sexuality is questioned for reporting it. And when surveys on sexual violence are done, sexual violence against male victims by female perpetrators isn't given the same weight. It's not given the same definitions. It's not counted as being as big of a deal. You turn it around, when a guy is accused, he's guilty. It doesn't matter whether he did it or not. Society is going to see him as guilty, and he risks being Cosby'd, having somebody else come out. Oh yeah, he raped me too. Yeah. Oh, and me, and having it go just down the line. But having to face questions when you're a survivor, that's just like the worst, right? It's worse than all of those things put together, right? Poor
it's worse
girls.
Than being raped.
Yeah, it's worse than being raped. Those poor girls.
Oh.
And I'd love it if someone described being raped as ruining their life, and you felt the need to put that in scare quotes.
Yeah.
Ruining their lives for reporting a crime. Yeah, reporting someone for a crime does ruin their life, darling.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's appropriate because they actually committed a crime, but whatever happens, it will ruin their life.
Yeah. Okay, and I wanted to say, I want to introduce something to make this a little bit more fun for me. I feel that, what's this woman's name again?
Suzanne Weiss.
Okay, I feel that Suzanne Weiss has failed to convince me to adopt the posture of victimhood on number 31. You have failed, Mrs. Weiss, or Ms. Weiss. You have failed to convince me I'm a victim.
Definitely Ms. Weiss.
Ms. Weiss, you have failed to convince me I am a victim from number 31. Fail. Okay.
Yeah, definitely, probably. Number 32. We're expected to grit our teeth and put up with disrespectful and objectifying behavior from men because boys will be boys.
Okay, you're not doing it well enough. I think you need to grit your teeth and put up a little bit more, feminists. If you're going to guilt everybody for saying that we make you do this, could you actually do the thing that we make you do? Thank you. But I don't think we actually make you do it. But, if you're going to guilt us about it, then do it. Just do it.
I got nothing to add, number 32. We've talked about boys will be boys many times.
Again, boys will be boys is that they'll be play rambunctiously. It has nothing to do with objectification. Why are they sexualizing that phrase? Is it just because there are boys in it and they just can't help themselves? Again,
it is said that.
Weiss,
It is said
you
that.
have
Oh,
failed.
go ahead.
Go
Right,
ahead.
Here we go. We're expected to grit our teeth and put up with disrespectful and objectifying behaviour from women because girl power.
Yeah.
This is
Everything.
disrespectful.
Everything about feminism. Everything. Every last thing about feminism is disrespectful and objectifying to men and boys. They do not treat men and boys as human beings. Even when they're claiming to treat men and boys as human beings, they can only see them as human beings by feminizing them.
Yeah, it's like the
And
whole
they're
suicide shit.
Yeah.
You have to stop doing maleness. You're doing maleness. You're doing depression and maleness wrong. So you gotta change to accommodate mental health, feminist mental health, rather than having mental health change to accommodate the actual pain. You're supposed to the do no harm. Hippocratic oath. You're supposed to tailor the assistance, the intervention to the patient, not the other way around. Anyway, but this is like totally disrespectful. In this 32, they have sexualized a non-sexual phrase about boys. And
Yeah. It is said
Feminism
that,
in a nutshell.
Yeah, the social justice warriors tend to sexualize a lot of stuff. Like, there's a great deal of projection going on in there.
Okay,
in their
and again,
rhetoric.
number 32, Miss Weiss, you have failed to make me feel like a victim. Failure.
Number 33. In the workplace, we have to worry about presenting our ideas in a non-threatening manner so that we don't be labeled aggressive.
Oh God!
Oh, you mean bossy?
I totally sympathize with this one. It's
Feminism.
like, nobody allows me to rant on this show. Let me tell you, like they're all like, "Shh, be more feminine, Allison. Be more feminine." Oh God.
There was a thread one of our patrons drew my attention to and tweeted it at both me and you, Allison, but I don't know if you're on Twitter today with everything. But they were talking about things women don't know about guys that might surprise women. And this one guy commented about, when we walk up behind you on the street on our way home, we're not trying to scare you. We're just trying to get home. This idea that only women have to do something to appear non-threatening is probably one of the most insulting things on here, because feminists treat everything guys do as threatening. A guy could blow his nose and they'd treat it as threatening. You're trying to give me the flu, And women who are not feminists, even women who are alert and aware of the gender thing, even women who are women against feminism, anti-feminists, there's still a lot of them who will treat a man like he's more threatening than they will treat a woman in a circumstance where they're with a stranger. Women will take a posture, a defensive posture, when they get into an elevator alone with a man they don't know, that they don't take when they get into an elevator alone with a woman they don't know. This is what men deal with all the time, every day that they have to deal with women. So I have no sympathy for a woman who feels like she has to censor herself in the workplace so she doesn't sound aggressive. Big fucking deal.
Mark Barkley says, "Stop being bossy, Allison." And then he adds, no wait, actually keep being bossy, like a boss."
Like bounce.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Number 33.
Yes, number 33.
Number 33, Miss Weiss. "You have failed to make me feel like a victim."
Yes.
F. 0 out of however many victim points.
All right, number 34. "But we also have to worry about being assertive, not apologizing too much, and avoiding other behaviors that will get us labeled as feminine and consequently ineffective leaders."
Oh God, do you realize
We can't do anything. Life is so hard. I can't do anything. I'm just trying to go through life without ever having to do anything that's outside of my interests or exceedingly slightly more difficult than I want, and I don't want to be judged for it ever. Is that so much to ask? I just don't want anyone to expect anything from me under any circumstances.
And yet I want them to expect me to be just as responsible.
I just want your praise. I just want your praise. Just
I don't
for
want
existing.
anybody to expect anything from me, but I want them to respect me. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I love how she thinks that men don't have to worry about being assertive.
Yeah.
Just like that blows my mind.
Yeah, does she think that, okay, first of all, men get called assholes and pricks if they're too assertive, and they get called wimps or fired if they're not assertive enough. It's just a thing. It happens when you assume a position of leadership. You are
Maybe
judged
she's
for it.
never been asked out on a date. Maybe she's never been, because that takes quite a bit of courage. Apparently nobody's ever been assertive in her vicinity. Nobody's ever asked, decided where to ask her out on a date. Nobody's ever, invited her any place.
Yeah, all right. So number 34, Miss Weiss, once again, you have failed to make me feel like a victim.
I'm starting to feel like a victim of this article. Why do you guys make me listen to this shit?
Mike, did you were you gonna say something when I read this one?
I think I might have already forgotten. Yeah, well, assertive is much like aggressive. It's like you said, she wants to live on a tightrope, on a knife edge, and then she complains that she has to live on such a tightrope. It's you feeling the pee under the mattresses. You fucking put the pee there.
You know what it really is? It's at some point you just have to say, let people have their opinion of you. You do what you do, and let people have their opinion. It's some people have a very negative opinion of me, and I've had to just be okay with that, because the alternative is just to run and hide and not do what I've said I'm going to do, and I'm not going to do that. So they can have their negative opinion. They can believe that you are simultaneously aggressive and wimpy, and just let it be. That's because if you do anything, you will get judged, guaranteed.
But I don't want to get judged.
And Miss Weiss, speaking of judgment, so far you have failed to make me feel like a victim.
I'm judging you.
Yeah, I am judging you.
All right, number 35. I lost my place because all these are looking the same to me now. "Those of us with uteruses are expected to make regular doctor's appointments, do research on birth control methods, and potentially undergo physical pain or remember a pill every day in order to ensure that an unwanted pregnancy doesn't occur."
Way to snatch that victimhood from the jaws of privilege. How many birth control methods do men have available to them? Let's see. How many fingers do we need to count that? 1!
3.
That's true. They got vasectomies, and they've got most
abstinence.
of the time. Yeah, except that if some chick decides that it's abuse for them to say no, and then they're in trouble.
All right.
True.
This is what exactly are you saying I'm a victim of, Mrs. Weiss, in this instance? The fact that I have access to birth control now and having
choices. Having choices. You're a victim of having choices. You poor thing. What are you going to do?
The problem is choice.
And you're an even bigger victim than I am, because your choices are paid for.
Oh. Okay, Miss Weiss, once again, the complete strikeout here. You have failed to make me feel like a victim of this. I would like. I'm curious if feminists could ever come up with anything that could make me feel like a victim, except feminism itself.
Yeah, lock you in a room and make you listen to a feminist lecture.
Oh,
Then you'd be a victim of kidnapping.
yeah, that's true. I would be a victim of kidnapping, but
Get the fuck out of our convention. We might do it.
You know what? I felt like it was a very painful experience, but I'm going to look at it in terms of what I learned. I learned that this is a fight that needs to happen. I mean, before they did that, if they had just let everything just slide, it would have made much less of a ruckus. It wouldn't have hardened the lines, and yet they didn't. They had to hit it with a hammer. So it made me realize that this was a fight that needed to happen, and it made me. I think it gave me an opportunity to see the reality of all of this, and it gave me an opportunity to test my mettle in opposition to that reality. So it was not fun. It was not a good experience, but I feel like I grew through it, and I understood more about the world I was in, and I feel like it gave the people who are just experiencing this and being afraid of it, it gave me an opportunity to fight back for them. So there you go. I'm not going to consider myself a victim of it. If I had considered myself a victim of it, I would not be taking the initiative to fight back. So no, they still didn't make me feel like a victim. And if that couldn't make me feel like a victim, Ms. Weiss's stupid list of petty complaints, her stupid list of micro P's that she's found underneath her fucking mattress is not going to make me feel like a victim. So yeah, I guess it's sort of facetious me even saying she strikes out, but she does. All right, yeah. Number 36.
All right. Are we on 36? Okay. Oh my god, I'm barely getting through these. In the case of an unwanted pregnancy, we risk being shamed for the decision we make about it.
Yeah, not like men who get called deadbeat dads and thrown in jail if they decide not to be parents. And the woman decides that she wants them to be parents. No, that's not nearly as bad as having somebody disagree with the choice that you made. Because that totally stops you.
This is all just, you are an adult now. You make adult decisions. People will judge you for those decisions. You have to live with them. The end. You still have failed to make me feel like a victim, Miss Weiss. And I think that any woman who reads this list and feels like a victim, I don't know what to think. I think you have a problem.
And you failed to make me feel guilty, by the way. You've struck out on the other side, other path, on me as well. I keep score as well. No guilt, not a drop. Sorry.
Okay.
All right. Number 37. If we have children, we're shamed for everything from how we give birth to how we feed them.
Bullshit. Are you kidding me? Mothers are worshipped, except by feminists who hate stay-at-home moms because they're not supposedly feminist enough. But no, like, everywhere I turn around, there is something in media or in advertising, in the people around me, or my kids telling me how great I am just because I gave birth and stuck around to take care of the kids. And unlike some animals, which the kids are dropped off and the parents are gone before they're even born. But the idea that we're shamed, so not everybody agrees with your methodology. Not everybody agrees with, you should have done it this way, you should have done it that way. I do it this way, I do it that way. And moms criticize each other too. Big deal. People face criticism. We learn from it too. I suppose that's probably a drawback of being a woman as well.
What's it like to face criticism when you spend your whole life blocking people on the internet to make sure you never ever get exposed to it, though? It must be
true.
It must be like acid dripping from Satan's cockhead onto your on your tramp stamp or something. Like, it must be awful, right?
I don't know. I cannot imagine. There have been times when I've been criticized for my parenting by other women who have given me bad arguments that have helped solidify my original ideas. Like if the reasoning behind not doing what I have decided to do is that bad, I must be doing the right thing. That's very reassuring. And then there have been times when other women have said, "Hey, have you thought about X, Y, Z?" And oh, well, hey, I'm going to change this. It's never eaten away at like my ego or anything. Oh, hey, I might have made a mistake. Gee, I can fix that. No. This idea of being disagreed with being the worst thing that could ever happen to you, it's one of the cruelest things that feminists do to women. It's like it sets you up to never improve yourself and to never become more confident on the basis of somebody else not having a good argument for why you shouldn't be.
Yeah. Oh, God forbid you take it upon yourself to decide whose opinion you care about. But that would actually be real empowerment. This is the other thing. This is like the subtext of all of this. The fact is that this list encourages the kind of mentality that puts everything, that puts women's locus of control outside of themselves. Their ability to manage their emotions outside of themselves. Their decisions about whose opinions they care about outside of themselves. Whether or not they care about those opinions is outside of themselves. Everything. It's like the woman doesn't even exist as a person in this framework.
No, she only exists as the way people see her, and
Yeah,
she's doing that to herself.
Yeah,
Right.
you actually, I take it back, Miss Weiss. You are making me feel like a victim. None of these things. I mean, briefly, it's just like I'm feeling like a victim of your bullshit.
Yeah, we're all
Of your desire to take away my personhood and my personal abilities in order to turn me into just this empty shell for your victim narrative. All right, I'm good.
Number 38. We're made to worry about what we wear because there's a chance someone will label it slutty, prudish, boyish, or frumpy, or some other derogatory term used about women's clothing.
Yeah, other women.
Yeah.
Other women are the ones that do that the most.
Yeah, pretty sure guys don't care. I don't know what else to say.
39.
I'm just going to move on. 39. When we go out, we're encouraged to be hyper-vigilant by keeping our eyes on our drinks, keeping track of our friends, and taking our keys out before we get home in case we're attacked.
And the only person that you're responsible to protect is yourself. When guys go out, they're encouraged to be hyper-vigilant by keeping their eyes on everyone around them, because they're expected to protect themselves. They're expected to protect whichever girl is with them, their girlfriend, their mom, their sister, whether they're out, out, or whether they're at the grocery store. They're expected to look after their buddies. They're expected, if some random girl is drunk and passed out somewhere, they're expected to protect her. And you hear people crabbing about it if they don't. Well, where are all the nice guys? Where were all the nice guys when she was passed out and something bad was happening to her? And so I'm sorry, you're expected to have a little self-defense in mind for yourself. It's so much worse than being expected to protect everybody.
Okay.
There are media campaigns where presidents get up in front of the camera and say, guys, listen up. Fellas, listen up. And expect them to, all men everywhere, to stop being monsters and protect women. There are ad campaigns on TV with the president and the vice president telling men to do that.
Yeah, it's such an old and completely permeating society type message that I think I mentioned this before. One night at trick-or-treat night, my brother and a friend of ours and I were out for the first time by ourselves. I was 11, and our buddy was 10, and my brother was 9, and we realized we were being stalked by high school kids that were going to mug us for our candy. And we knew we weren't going to be able to totally avoid it. both of the guys felt responsible for protecting me. I was the oldest one there, but they still both felt they put me in the middle when we went through the area we figured they were most likely to mug us in, and to make sure they would get hit first. My 9-year-old little brother did that because he was a guy.
If you're alone, you're responsible. If you're a woman and you're alone, people say to tell you to be responsible for your safety. But if you're with a man, he is expected to be responsible for your safety to the point of putting his own life in danger to protect yours. The fact that when you're alone, you're expected to be responsible for your own safety. Who the fuck do you think is going to be responsible for your safety when you're alone? This is just pure insanity now.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll say, well, we shouldn't be afraid of, you say that we shouldn't be afraid of men because men are not. Well, the thing is that there are some men and some women who are bad, who are going to take advantage of you. So you need to protect yourself from them. And that's your responsibility. Except, this is what we say. What society says is it's only your responsibility if you're alone. If you're with the man, it's his responsibility.
Yeah, 39 just seems to be, she's describing vigilance as hypervigilance. Not even vigilance, just common sense. Keeping an eye on your drink is a good idea. Keeping track of your friends is a bloody good idea, both in the short term and in the long term. And I'm just confused as fuck about taking out our keys before we get home.
To put it in your fist, probably, so you can
so you
damage
can
it in
use
your
it,
hand.
use it on a potential.
Oh, okay.
assault.
Men are encouraged to carry knives from like teenagers and onwards in case
Keeping
they get
track of your friends. Does that mean that she's expected to take care of her friends? I don't think so.
Essentially, make sure that they don't get separated, so that she ends up alone if she's not out alone. That's the idea, and also to make sure that her friends don't get roofied and raped by some stranger. But I wanted to say something about this. What I'm seeing here is that this woman, aside from never ever wanting to be responsible for anything or be judged for anything, and all the other stuff that she has to do as an adult woman, she, like most feminists, appears to be terrified of the world outside of her door. Terrified to the point where going out seems like it's not worth it for whatever the small amount of entertainment you're going to have is, because apparently in her head, every man is nothing but a dark shadow, Schrodinger's rapist, ready to do some rapiness on any woman that affords them even the slightest opportunity. So what I'm seeing is when she says we're encouraged to be hyper vigilant by keeping our eyes on our drinks, etc., so that we don't get raped, and because we'll be blamed for it or whatever, she is just responding to the fear-mongering that happens within feminist circles. They're the ones telling her 1 in 5 women will be raped, and every man has the potential to do it, and it's just part of what masculinity is, and it's just it's part of their nature. So you should be afraid at all times. If a guy buys you a drink, you should be afraid. If he's nice to you, you should be afraid. If he's aggressive, you should be afraid as well, no matter what, under all circumstances, at all times. And it's having this effect of making women, probably the average woman, but definitely feminist women, terrified of the world that they have made in their head as a result of their own propaganda.
And they resist any kind of context or reason or statistics that would say at this point it's a willful desire to see the world as a dangerous place, because they resist any counter argument.
There might be something else to this statement about having to keep track of our friends. If she's in college and she's one of these party girls, she might be talking about having to keep track of her friends so they don't leave without her and strand her at the party.
I thought party girls had fun.
Yeah, but they also get plowed. They get drunk as a skunk, and then they get in the car and drive. Or they walk back across campus to their dorm just drunk off their asses. Or they go off and sleep with some guy, and then later on they accuse him of rape if they're embarrassed about it. And so it's entirely possible that all of her friends might leave the party and she might find herself there by herself, which is an entirely...
There was a hiccup in the stream and everything's fine. No, it should be back up. Okay. Number 40. During sex, we feel pressure to make artificial faces and noises and fake orgasms in order to turn our partners on and make them feel good about their sexual prowess.
Can I just add something to this?
Yeah.
It sounds like, from what I've heard about men, they are expected to pretend that women give them orgasms.
When it's actually the images in their heads giving them orgasms.
I was surprised at what was meant by such incredible silence, because it's a what is it, Louis K?
Louis C.K.?
Yeah, that's a quote, like that's a reference to his that it's not the woman giving him the orgasm, it's the filthy thoughts in his head.
Oh.
And also his ability to to orgasm, or to know what makes him orgasms, and get the correct stimulation for that to happen. Not the woman. In fact, I remember reading a circumcision board, or a anti-circumcision board, where a man talked about one day just deciding that he wasn't going to he was going to do what women do and not have an orgasm unless his partner gave him one. And he subsequently never really had an orgasm during sex, because he was not going to have an orgasm until his partner gave him one. I wonder how many men would actually orgasm if they decided that. If they decided, you know what, she can make me orgasm, I'm not going to go through the rigmarole of doing it myself. Because according to Louis K. and this guy, that's what a lot of men do.
Yeah. There was something I was trying to say earlier and you guys couldn't hear me, but I wanted to point out, don't fake anything, either side. That's stupid. There's no reason for it. Communication is better. It makes things a lot better. A huge amount better. If you tell your partner what you like and you find out what your partner likes, you have a lot more fun than
get
faking.
What you want.
Holy shit, do you have a lot more fun.
Until you break up.
Yeah.
And then you get the stories to all your friends. Hello, Mr. likes a thumb up his ass.
Well, that's why you're careful which partners you choose. That's why hookup culture is stupid. It's one of many, many reasons why hookup culture is stupid.
It's dangerous. All right, should we move on? Number 41. When we speak about sexism, we have to deal with backlash and criticism for being bitchy, too sensitive, or the PC police.
Great. It's the only problem with that one is you don't deal with enough.
Yeah, it's only when they label things sexism that are not sexism, and they ignore things that are sexism. It's like, oh, it's sexist when you say the wrong thing at work, but it's not sexist when you say that a guy is a deadbeat for making the same choice that a woman gets to make without being called a deadbeat. Did the stream die again?
No. We're just. I think Brian is doing a dramatic pause.
No,
okay.
You just finished.
I was doing a dramatic pause though. Brian was just doing an ordinary pause.
I was like a normal one. I was just. When you speak about sexism in every context, all the time, about anything, people are going to get tired of it. Because they're going to stop equating it with reality. I mean, they probably already had criticisms, but when you're saying everything, like you've just listed 50 bullshit things. I haven't even gotten through them all, but I can tell you they're most if not all of them are bullshit. And said that these are unique sexist environments or challenges that only women face. This is why people are calling you bitchy and sensitive. This list is why. So, yeah, sorry. Number 42.
You're not sorry.
No. This is number 42, the answer to the universe and everything. If we get angry, we risk being labeled an angry feminist.
Only for a feminist.
If men get angry, they risk getting arrested.
Yeah.
This is another one. When my son was little, really little, like just getting to where, most kids would go through the terrible twos, I worked my ass off to teach him anger management at an age where you don't usually teach little kids anger management, because I knew, based on my size, and my husband's size and the size of most of the people in our family, when he grows up, he's going to be a very large man. And very large men are never allowed to yell. If a medium-sized man or a woman or, a short guy yells, people say stuff about him. People might call him hard-ass, people might call him a blowhard, whatever. But when a very large man yells, all of a sudden everybody gets scared and they decide that he's dangerous, even if all he yelled was, "Ow, you hit me." Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Women, there isn't an area in which women end up in that situation. Women can get away with throwing extreme temper tantrums. When I was witnessing in court for the 7 years in hell guy, one day the vexatious litigant that was going after him threw a screaming temper tantrum in the courtroom, like a little kid. Like, she literally threw herself around and yelled and screamed, and then she went in the restroom and yelled and screamed some more. "I don't care what it takes, it's him or me!" Threw herself around, hit the wall, hit the mirrors, hit the stalls and everything. A guy would have gotten arrested. Nobody was fazed that she did that. Her handlers there were just trying to calm her down. "Oh, you poor thing, we understand, you're upset." No. She didn't have any idea what it's like to not be allowed to be angry.
And neither does this person.
All right.
Okay,
Number 43.
Yeah, I'm just staring at 43. I've been staring at 43 in disbelief for some time now. This is straight out of the fucking onion. Go, Brian.
Number 43. If we show any emotion, we risk being used as evidence that women are emotional. What?
Brilliant. Brilliant. I don't. What's 44?
Okay, just number 44. I think these go together. If we cry, we risk someone assuming it's because we're on our periods.
Well, it is better to have a period than a question mark.
Oh,
Just saying.
I got
Just saying.
Good
Jeez.
Lord. Number 45.
I have one thing to say about 44.
Oh, yeah, no, go ahead.
If you don't want to risk people assuming that you're on your period every time you get emotional, don't fucking use your period as an excuse every time you get emotional and you're doing so inappropriately. That's it.
I will say this about number 43. If we show any emotion, we risk being used as evidence that women are emotional. And yet, feminists are trying to get men to be emotional in order to prevent men from causing mass shootings and mass rapings and mass wars and pillaging and all that shit that they think men do just because they're not essentially emoting the same way that women do. So doesn't it mean that by feminist logic, being emotional is a good thing? So because men should be doing it so that way they can be seen as human. This is their words, not ours. So if that's the case, then wouldn't 43 be a compliment because women being emotional is good because men are not emotional enough because they're not human? I don't know if you're following what I'm saying. But
Yeah, I follow what you're saying. I'm just tired of this. I want to get through it.
all right.
I apologize.
45. It's okay. If we actually are experiencing physical or emotional health issues related to our uteruses, we risk being used as evidence that women are irrational. Okay. Whatever.
I think
whatever.
You're thinking 19th century there, aren't you?
But here's the thing: men are believed to have all kinds of issues. Like they're believed because they have penises and testes that they're uniquely rapey.
Yeah.
So
Violent and abusive and destructive and warlike.
Yeah, so it's not like it's unique to women.
Number 45 there seems to be tacit admission that women can be irrational when they're on their periods or pregnant.
Suzanne, were you on your period when you wrote number 45?
Oh.
I think you were.
Wait,
Microaggression.
Feminists have a cosmic fit if you suggest that women can be irrational when they're on their periods or pregnant.
MAGA.
This is at least the second time she's used the phrase we risk being used as evidence. Like, something being used as evidence isn't a bad thing. Evidence is good. We like evidence. It shows us how the world works. It's not even a risk. What do you mean the risk of it being used as... I know what you mean. It does sound like the ravings of a paranoid narcissist, doesn't it?
Oh, God.
Yes, it does.
It's like, this is like one long vague book post. You know what a vague book post is? It's where someone writes a Facebook post, or they may do this on other social media, and they'll say things like, some people need to learn how to mind their own business, or I'm hearing that some people are talking shit about me behind my back, but that's okay though. And they do it with the intention of getting other people to sort of swarm in and say, what's wrong? How's it going? Why don't you call me? Tell me what's going on. And it's all like, it's very like, middle school behavior online. This screams the same thing. Like, these are all her experiences, and she is making them into every woman everywhere's experiences. And she's doing it in this really vague, like, no, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for all of you. You all relate to what I'm saying here, because I have observed humanity. But really, this is her shit. Number 46. If we ask for what we want in relationships, we risk our partners labeling us as needy. Okay.
Oh, you mean like, pressuring somebody for sex? Or begging for sex because you haven't had any for a couple of months? Or even asking to be spoken to sometimes and treated like a human being? Oh, no, wait, that's men. Then they get labeled rapey. Even with a partner that they've been with for years. And by pressuring, I mean just mentioning. It's been a while.
Number 40. Shall I move on?
Yes.
47.
When there's silence, move on.
Okay. Men we date often expect our full attention while they keep their options open and only devote as much time to us as they want to.
No, that's assholes. When you date assholes.
I swear by the end of this, it's going to be like, and then when they don't call you for 3 weeks and you're leaving them emails and messages to find out where they are and they don't respond, and then one day they just sort of show up with their, your best friend who you thought was your best friend but totally isn't. He's like, oh, we're engaged. Don't you hate it when that happens? It's very specific, experiences we're talking about here. I hate it when that happens. Number 47. No, wait. Yeah, men we date often expect our full attention while they keep
48. Don't go backwards.
People frequently tell us to smile and otherwise adjust our appearance and behavior to make ourselves more pleasing to other people. Yeah.
Man-spreading and mansplaining and whatever else.
You're gonna wear that? Sure, you're gonna wear that today? That shirt? That shirt? I mean, I know it's comfortable, but it's got holes in it. You've had that shirt for 10 years. Get rid of it already.
This is awful.
Okay, 49.
49.
Square root of 7 is the square root of 49.
Men hold us responsible for explaining these problems and other manifestations of sexism and doubt us if they don't personally observe or experience them.
I hereby absolve you of your responsibility. You don't feel responsible for showing people these 50 things ever again. Keep them as far under your hat as you like, my darling.
Stoicism, learn it.
At least men believe sexism happens to women. Feminist women don't believe sexism even happens to men, even when they do observe or experience it. And if they even come close to admitting it, what do they blame? Patriarchy. It's men's fault.
It's men's fault. This stuff happens to men.
50 is the crowning jewel.
They have to absolve themselves of all sin at all times. All right, number 50. When men try to advocate for us, even if they fail miserably, and even if they hurt us in the process by promoting benevolent sexism, we're expected to pat them on the back for their efforts and be grateful our problems are getting any attention at all.
Well, yeah, because men's problems aren't.
This is
Dear
why,
God.
This is why male feminists need to walk away.
The tyranny of polite society, where if somebody does something nice for you, you might be expected to show, I don't know, a little gratitude. It's just the worst ever. How dare they?
These are just 50.
Nice guy. We know how we feel about nice guys, don't we?
Yeah.
These are the 50 of the countless ways we are expected to exert emotional energy on a regular basis. And when that much is demanded of you, it's impossible not to compromise other areas of your life. I don't give a shit about your life or how you've compromised
I'm not
in
reading
it.
all this shit. It's just
it's like, okay, first of all, emotional labor is the act of managing your emotions. Stoicism is, in fact, emotional labor, not this. You know what would be emotional labor is for all of this shit for you to happen to you and you never to speak of it ever. Mm-hmm. You just look at it and you say, I got to deal with it. And you never talk about it. But that's not something that women, in particular feminist women, don't do. They are constantly making themselves out to be victims of shit. Constantly. That's the exact opposite of emotional labor. That's emotional outsourcing. You are emotionally outsourcing yourself on everybody who has to listen to you. And you also fail to make me feel like that's a valid thing to do because you failed to make me feel like any of the shit that you said should make me feel like a victim as a woman. Bada bing. Let's go to the next thing, I think, maybe, unless someone else wants to add to that.
It's not just not emotional labor, it's not even emotional administration. You don't even know where the files go.
Yeah, you're not doing any kind of regulation of your emotions. You aren't held to any kind of expectation that you shut up and not complain about them. Because guess what? You're not shutting up and you are complaining about them. And you get to do that. Nobody's going to shout you down. I can't even imagine men listing 50 pieces of shit like this. Like the emotional labor men are expected to deal with. Losing their children. Being part of the class of people that is expected to give up their lives for another class of people asymmetrically. You know, this is the kind of stuff that men have to deal with. I can't even imagine a man writing out a list like this. Emotional labor, expecting to have how they sit conform to some legal norm put down by feminists. How they speak conform to some legal norm put down by feminists. All of that is emotional labor. It's the expectation that you control your emotions in order to uphold a standard. And you don't have that expectation as a woman. That's not part of your female role. You are allowed to be emotional. And then you complain when people turn around and say, oh, you're emotional. Yeah, well, you've been given that privilege of outsourcing your emotional labor and complaining every single time you have the least expectation as an adult to regulate yourself emotionally. All right.
And I've certainly never heard men complaining about the emotional labor of having to hold doors open and pay for dinner because we don't want to sound like some whiny little cunt like Suzanne Weiss.
Well, I guess men do complain about that, but it's like
feminist men would. Feminist men would complain. They'd write a list like this. I could see John McIntosh writing a list like this. And it would all be stuff that other men would be reading it and going, I don't have a problem when I have to do that. I have a problem with losing my kids. I don't have a problem with being myself. I have a problem with this. What the hell is this guy on? And of course, the answer is feminism.
Yeah, it's like all of the issues that men's rights activists face are not these vague feely wibbly wobblies. They're concrete statistical facts that you can point to. I'm expected to be an adult. Oh, I'm expected to hold my half of a conversation. Seriously? You should be. Is it at any point will that woman wake up one day and say, I honestly put that out in the world? as a problem I face as a woman. I'm expected to hold up my half of the conversation. I'm expected to take responsibility for adult responsibility that I willingly assume. Oh. All right.
Okay. So what do you want to move on to? Shall we look at
Let's go for the did you have the I put through an article on men's rights activists.
what?
Yes, someone sent me an article on men's rights activists. It's Inquisitor. It should be in your messages. Go look at that thing.
I got it.
Yeah, this is once again. First of all, I believe that they're conflating us with the red pill
Of course.
again. And men's rights activists claim they cost Star Wars $4.2 million. Sorry, I jumped all over the
it's all right.
Brian. But I am the bossy
By
cunt. So.
Tom Beasley. Okay, so I've never seen this before. So, okay, a group of prominent men's rights activists have claimed that they cost Star Wars The Force Awakens more than $4 million at the worldwide box office after their reporting criticized the film's stance on diversity. David,
What group of prominent men's rights activists is this? Do tell.
They do tell. Go continue.
David Garrett, Return of Kings,
Drink!
wrote that a Twitter poll of his fellow men's rights activists revealed a significant financial impact on Star Wars as a result of the site's articles on the film. 55% of responders to a Return of the Kings Twitter poll have said that online reporting of the social justice nature of The Force Awakens influenced their decision whether to see the film, extended across our readership with over 900,000 users accessing ROK between November 21st and December 21st. This amounts to a potential direct impact of 4,219,456.54, whatever, on total revenues. $8.38 is based on the average cinema ticket price in the U.S., which is now an all-time high. The Return of Kings website, a haven for men's rights activists. They like repeating that men's rights activist thing, don't they? Published several reviews of The Force Awakens throughout December in which they took aim at the casting of a woman and a black man in the two central roles. One Star Wars review on the site for men's rights activists dubbed Daisy Ridley's Rey a Mary Sue and John Boyega's Finn a glorified white knight. The Star Wars battleship has forged a brutal course through multiplexes what the fuck ads, sinking box office records on an almost daily basis. Forbes, in fact, pointed out that even if the bizarre mathematics deployed by men's rights activists held true, their figure would still be a minor one in terms of The Force Awakens' overall box office performance. Yes, so minor that the Inquisitor wanted to write about it. As of New Year's Eve, The Force Awakens is enjoying a $629 million box office, domestically topping The Avengers, with its racing past a $761 million, I guess, domestic box office of Avatar by next week. Globally, the new Star Wars is sitting pretty at $1.29 billion and change. And the movie will be in theaters for many more weeks. Alright, so yeah, it goes on. Essentially, they repeat men's rights. In every paragraph, they say men's rights again. Men's rights activists, however, have not been the only people to question the portrayal of Daisy Ridley's character. Screenwriter Max Landis, best known for Chronicle of Victor Frankenstein, criticized Rey in a series of tweets before elaborating in a YouTube video. The men's rights activist movement arose online following the increasing prominence of feminist views in the public sphere. They are publicly opposed to the actions of social justice warriors, a pejorative term used to attack those who the movement sees to be enforcing an anti-male, anti-white ideology. All right. I mean, there's not much else to say.
Good grief. That's just bad journalism or lack of journalism.
It's just dumb.
Oh, what a surprise, huh?
I mean, it's essentially tabloid journalism. They didn't do their research, obviously, because if they'd actually investigated the site that they were quoting, they would know that there are articles on the site complaining that people call them men's rights activists when they're not, and the site's official Twitter account has repeatedly tweeted out that they are not men's rights activists. Please stop calling them that. So apparently they don't like us either.
Yeah, people are in the comments. They are saying Return of Kings has nothing to do with men's rights activists. Try doing some research next time you write an article, make you look less idiotic. But it doesn't matter because it goes back to something, that old saying, a lie is halfway across the world before the truth gets its pants on. For people who don't really want to take the time to try to understand what the MRM is, what the red pill is, what the whole shebang is, most people don't want to put in the energy, and they would rather just be told by lazy journalist websites like Inquisitor, which sounds like the Inquirer to me, who is going to use clickbait titling to send a message, and maybe they have an agenda, maybe they don't. The point is, though, they don't do the work, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's I didn't even realize this was a January article. Sorry, guys. This is dragging up a bunch of shit. Let's go to the Pepes.
All right. So, Donald Trump, Pepe the Frog, and white supremacists, an explainer. This is from the HillaryClinton.com website, okay? Just so you know, this isn't just some bullshit website. This is Hillary Clinton's website. That cartoon
okay, this
frog,
is very important business.
This is important business. This is deciding the fate of the free Western world. That cartoon frog is more sinister than you might realize.
We're all victims of the cartoon frog.
Over the weekend, Donald Trump's son and one of his closest advisors posted an odd photo on their social media accounts. And here is the tweet. The deplorables. A friend sent me this. Apparently I made the cut as one of the deplorables. All kidding aside, I am honored to be grouped with the hardworking men and women of this great nation that have supported the real Donald Trump and know that he can fix the mess created by politicians in Washington. He's fighting for you and won't ever quit. Thanks for your trust. Okay. I am so proud to be Roger Stone. I am so proud to be one of the deplorables. Trump 2016. This raised some important questions. Why is there a frog standing directly behind Trump? These are super important questions. Why is there a frog standing directly behind Trump? That's Pepe. He's a symbol associated with white supremacy. Wait, really? White supremacy? That's right.
Who the fuck? What idiot are they talking to?
Well, they were trolled by a couple of guys.
They were trolled, but I think on top of that, Hillary will use anything to sling mud at Trump, even if she doesn't understand what it is that she's saying. And to do that, one of the things you also have to do is you have to have a pretty low opinion of the voter base, because you have to assume that they're not going to put in the work to try to understand any of this stuff, or they don't already understand what Pepe is and all that. So she's working on the assumption that she's holding all the cards, but she has no idea. She's like that, that meme of that really, really old woman in front of a computer, and she's like adjusting her glasses. You know what I'm talking about? It's a photo of an old woman on a computer. It's like a stock image, and they usually use it to make fun of old people that don't know how to use technology. That's the Hillary Clinton campaign, basically. Okay, so
go. Please explain.
I will go on. Please explain. Here's the short version. Pepe is a cartoon frog who began his internet life as an innocent meme enjoyed by teenagers and pop stars alike. But in recent months, Pepe has been almost entirely co-opted by the white supremacists who call themselves the alt-right. They decided to take back Pepe by adding swastikas and other symbols of anti-Semitism and white supremacy.
Okay, wait a second. How did they take back Pepe if Pepe started innocently? Wouldn't he have had to start as a white supremacist symbol for them to take it back? Can they not just keep their fucking story? Can they keep their fucking story straight for 2 paragraphs?
I don't know. We basically mixed Pepe in with Nazi propaganda, etc. We built that association. One prominent white supremacist told the Daily Beast. I'm just going to open this in a new tab.
Fortran troll or Fortran troll is what they mean.
Yeah. Trump has retweeted his white supremacist supporters with regularity, but the connection between the alt-right and his campaign continues to strengthen. Trump has been slow to disavow support from Ku Klux Klansmen and white supremacy groups, and he recently hired Breitbart.com's Steve Bannon as his campaign CEO. Oh my God, Breitbart.com. And Bannon isn't shy about the fact that his news organization is the platform for the alt-right. Now, white supremacists have given Pepe the cartoon frog Trump hair, and the candidate's own son says he is honored to be grouped with him. let me get this straight. Trump's presidential campaign is posting memes associated with white supremacy online? Yes.
This is the stupidest shit. How stupid is a person to... How stupid do you have to be, people? How stupid? And it's the fucking...
But it's just his son and one of his closest advisors, right? Nope. Donald Trump. This one, I think he tweeted this a while back, I think. You can't stump the Trump. For all I know, he didn't even know what this meant. But this is how I think it sort of took off. He retweeted a picture of Pepe with Trump hair. Just curious, who else is in this photo? Notably, conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, we're being nice here, who believes the government was behind the 9/11 and that Newtown was completely fake, and Breitbart's Milo Yiannopoulos, whose racism and bigotry is so egregious that Twitter banned him from using the site. This is horrifying. Yes. What can I do? Vote. We can't risk a Donald Trump's presidency.
Oh my fucking god.
I like how this thing tells
The world
people
has
what they
gone
should
mad.
feel. This is
Yes,
horrifying. You should feel horrified.
Yes.
What a time to be alive. That's all I can say when I look at this. What a time to be alive. I mean,
Well, Hillary has definitely made the anti-cartoon frog a plank in her platform. So, if you too feel the terror of the cartoon frog scourge, vote Hillary, because she'll make sure that doesn't come into your life. Cartoon frogs, you'll be safe from the cartoon. What the fuck is in the corner there? Jesus fucking Christ! It's in the room! Oh my God! Where's Hillary? Save us! Save us, Hillary! Oh,
Good
the memes! The
The
meme-monity! The meme-monity!
You
Oh,
are
God.
such a meme guy. Oh, I don't know if you did. I sort of sent there was an article on the Daily Beast that I think that the Hillary writer read, which I still think it's funny that her last name is Chan and this was a 4chan prank. It's just, but apparently this started with Olivia Nuzzi of the Daily Beast getting expertly trolled by a couple of guys that they were her only sources for this, and she wrote a serious journalistic article.
Yes.
I can't say that with a straight face.
Shall
on
I?
this, yes.
Okay. How Pepe the Frog became a Nazi Trump supporter and alt-right symbol by Olivia Nuzzi. Nuzzi. The green frog was behind the United States side of the metal fence at the country's southernmost border, smirking and holding a Donald Trump campaign button up to his chin. A caricature of a Mexican couple, the man dressed in a sombrero and poncho, the woman with braided hair and an infant in her arms, looked out at him through the barricade and cried. Then the frog was someplace else entirely, this time covered in Nazi insignia. Above his smirk, the phrase skinhead and a swastika over his left eyelid. 14, the numeric shorthand for we must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children. And over his right eyelid, 88, which stands for Heil Hitler. And there the frog was yet again, standing at a lectern stamped with the presidential seal, a red tie hanging from his green neck, Trump's iconic hair arranged on his head, and an American flag at his back. This is Pepe, a cartoon amphibian introduced to the world's Sand Swastikas and Trump associations in 2005 on MySpace in the artist Matt Fury's comic strip Boys Club, and popularized on 4chan in the ensuing 11 years, culminating in 2015 when teens shared Pepe's likeness so many times he became the biggest meme on Tumblr. Fury did not respond to an interview request from the Daily Beast. So he's avoiding associations with his own character.
They probably just couldn't print "what the fuck" as a quote.
Like all great art, Pepe was open to endless interpretation. But at the end of the day, he meant whatever you wanted him to mean. all in good fun. Teens made Batman Pepe, Supermarket Checkout Girl Pepe, Borat Pepe, Keith Haring Pepe, and carved Pepe pumpkins. But he also embodied existential angst. Pepe, the grimiest but most versatile meme of all, was both hero and anti-hero, a symbol fit for all of life's ups and downs, and the full spectrum of human emotions as they played out online. On social media, Pepe became inescapable. Katy Perry tweeted a crying Pepe with the caption, "Australian jet lag got me like." Racking up over 10,000 retweets, Nicki Minaj posted a twerking Pepe on Instagram with the caption, "Me on Instagram for the next 2 weeks trying to get my followers back up," which 282,000 users liked. And then recently things took a turn. Pepe became socially unacceptable. Turns out this was by design. At Jared T. Swift is an anonymous white nationalist who claims to be 19 years old and in school someplace in the West Coast. He told me that there is an actual campaign to reclaim Pepe from normies. Normies are basics, agreeable mainstream members of society who have no knowingly abhorrent political views or unsavory hobbies. They are Katy Perry. And when they latch onto a meme, the meme dies, the way your favorite band dies when it sells out and licenses a song to Chevrolet. When mainstream culture gets in on the joke, in other words, the joke is ruined forever. The campaign to reclaim Pepe from normies was an effort to prevent this sort of death, but it also had the effect of desensitizing swaths of the internet to racist, but mostly anti-Semitic ideas supported by the so-called alt-right movements.
Is this different than the anti-Semitic ideas that we are supposed to support coming from Muslims?
Yeah, and the Young Turks. It began in late 2015 on R9K, a controversial 4chan board where, as on any message board, it can be difficult to discern how serious commenters are being or if they're just fucking around entirely. Nevertheless, /R9K has been tied to Elliot Rodger, the UC Santa Barbara shooter who killed 6 people in 2014, who found fans there, and Gamergate. There, Pepe transformed from harmless cartoon to big green monster. There should be. You guys are familiar with the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon? Do you know what that is? You ever heard of that?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I've heard of it.
Okay. Is there a 6 Degrees of Elliot Rodger when it comes to anything associated with, I don't know, like counterculture stuff? There ought to be. Because it seems like Elliot Rodger had his fingers in lots of pies before he went and killed mostly men and a couple of women and got accused of mainly blamed for killing women.
I think it's more like a 16 degrees of separation with Elliot Rodger.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that anybody that these authoritarian social justice types find, deplorable, they'll lump them all in together. They'll find a way to draw a connection even when there isn't one. Like, I'm pretty sure that the association, like, she hasn't linked anything to it, has been tied to Elliot Rodger. I will bet that tie is Man Boobs wrote that Elliot Rodger was associated with them.
Yeah.
Because that's usually, if they don't quote anybody and you have to look it up yourself, that's where you find it. All goes back to We Hunted the Mammoth.
Usually.
Yeah,
okay.
almost always.
So
or
let's
monkeys.
Hear about the descent of Pepe.
Yes. We basically
into the darkness.
We watched the fall of Pepe. We basically mixed Pepe in with Nazi propaganda. We built that association, Jared Swift said. He sent me a rare Pepe, an ironic categorization for certain versions of the meme. Pepe, his eyes red and irises swastika-shaped, against a trippy rainbow backdrop. Do with it what you will, he said. Building the Trump Association came next, after which Jared Swift said the images got crossover appeal. They began to move from 4chan to Twitter, which is when journalists were exposed to it via Trump memes. On January 7th, Sherry Jacobus, a Republican consultant and pundit who is suing Trump for defamation, has been harassed by Trump supporters, tweeted, "The green frog symbol is what white supremacists use in their propaganda. You, with a capital U, don't want to go there." Hashtag Frog Twitter considered Jacobus the first prominent person to be duped, its first scalp and inundated her with ever more Pepe images and Trump memes, some of which were violent and sexually explicit. Those violent memes. In one, a blonde woman is decapitated before Pepe has intercourse with her headless body. In another, Jacobus's face is photoshopped onto a topless woman kneeling before Trump, who is himself photoshopped to wear a Nazi uniform. When they adapt Pepe the Green Frog and turn it into an anti-Semite staring into the screen with the World Trade Center behind it, is that cute or funny? She asked when reached by a phone Wednesday. Does that make it okay? I don't know, she said. Violent and disturbing images are violent and disturbing images, regardless of what their stated reasons are. Jay Nordlinger, a senior...
Does it just keep going like this?
I guess it does. I don't know. It's
It looks like it's very long.
You know, speaking of Nazis, I don't want to pull Godwin's, but you know how there was a lot of sort of Bugs Bunny and Superman sort of did a lot of episodes during the war, just to sort of sort of war cartoons like Hooray for Us and Boo Them. And I love to think there was a room full of Nazis somewhere going, "This Superman. We have to do something about this Superman. Mm-hmm. He's going to tear down the Reich."
Oh, yes, and Captain America.
I was gonna say there's a video online of Hitler freaking out when he finds out that Pokemon aren't real. It's a great. Somebody put it to, I think, a movie Hitler. Somebody just changed the. It's been a while since I've seen it.
I know what you're talking about. They do that a lot, where they have Hitler reacting to stuff. And he's like in a bunker with a bunch of his officers, and he like flips out, and they just change the subtitles. Yeah, it's like Hitler reacts. Yeah.
But as for this article, she goes on and gives example after example after example that these guys fed her by telling her about them, and several that she connected things online to what they said. They had her completely convinced that this was a real thing, and she just went on and wrote it into the ground.
Yeah, I know. This is another anonymous white nationalist at Paul Town _ claimed to be in my late 20s, but declined to say where he exists geographically, other than to confirm that every few months he meets with the members of his community in New York City. Do they meet in the dark pits of hell beneath New York City after summoning the elder gods?
No, they probably go find. They probably go find a pond and sit around it and sing.
He estimated the broad #frog Twitter movement to consist of almost 30 people, but said 10 core members had helped plot it out over drinks in late 2015 before taking it to /R9KN/. We all do some weightlifting, so we met through friends involved in that scene, he said. Turning Pepe into a white nationalist icon was one of our original goals, although we had our hands in many other things.
God.
One of those things had been helping to turn Taylor Swift into an Aryan goddess. How did this get through? Like, does the Daily Beast have anyone at the top who says, this is bullshit? Like, is there nobody at these journalistic outlets that has the ability to sniff out when somebody is being fed a line? Because this is a line. Several publications, broadly Slate and the Washington Post this week, reported on the outright's fixation on the pop star. #frog Twitter was somewhat triumphant. I never thought that would work, at Jared T. Swift said, but they finally noticed. At Paul Town _ characterized Pepe as an experiment the group used as a test. As you can see, he said, it went better than we could have ever imagined.
Did he have his hands in like a triangle shape? You know, when he said that, and he was in a swivel chair? As you can see,
God, no.
It went better than we could have ever imagined.
She put this quote in the article that could have not gone better than he possibly could have imagined. That they would publish this.
Yeah.
You guys are jokes.
Oh, you gotta realize a lot of these people are old and haven't had any involvement with social media other than to promote their own stuff. So they don't have a clue. And every so often a story comes out like the Jesse Slaughter story or something like that. And they hear one side of it and they believe that side of it. And And this sounds similar enough to that stuff that they wouldn't think, if they didn't investigate it and actually do some background checking, they wouldn't think it was any different. This pretty much shows these people, as soon as they hear something that they think might be incriminating or even just make the person that they're trying to run down look bad, they publish it. They don't bother fact checking. They don't bother digging into the background of anything.
Soon.
So I think these two guys that fed her this story have won the internet for the month.
Well, they is it Olivia Nuzzi? She is definitely a lol cow. I think that Hillary is the queen of lol cows this year.
Oh my God!
That is why dollar meme happening.
This is why Hillary passed out.
That's
on 9/11.
She's a lol heifer.
They had milked her of so many of her lulls that her lull count was low, and she passed out. This is what happens when you milk a lull cow too hard.
Oh God.
That wasn't phlegm, it was a big globule of cack.
Yep, and they took her to a hospital and they put her on a slow drip and she recovered some lulls. They refilled her lulls, so she's ready for milking again.
Oh,
just, not quite so enthusiastically this time, or she'll pass out again.
Okay, all right. Speaking of lulls, do you want to go to the female animals?
Oh wait, I want to read this because this is funny as shit. And this is not real, but this is, I think, more making fun of Olivia Nuzzi because she basically eats whatever is put before her. And so I guess some guys put this together because I couldn't find this as a real legit article. But Olivia Nuzzi, this is a joke, but I think it's funny. I'm scared, so should you be. How an ancient god of chaos and darkness became the patron deity of white supremacy. For millennia, the frog demon, Kek, lay forgotten amid the ruins of ancient Egypt, until white nationalists discovered they could call upon his power to curse their political opponents. By Olivia Nuzzi. We all knew there was something wrong when Trump kept growing stronger. We all felt a chill when he won the GOP nomination. To normal, rational minds, Donald Trump was always just a joke. But to a group of dedicated Kek cultists, his potential to cause chaos was too good an opportunity to pass up. It may sound crazy, but if it weren't for the influence of Kek, Jeb Bush would be running for office and Hillary Clinton would be perfectly healthy. To understand why, I need to explain how a seemingly random series of repeating integers have shaped the political climate of the United States and plunged us into an era of chaos and darkness.
The sad thing is, after reading her other article, that
cannot be closed.
So believable. Somebody would write that.
I know. I was hoping to find it. I really
Did
wanted
you
to
ever
see
get the feeling? You ever get the feeling that nobody in charge has a fucking clue what they're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like these people have way too much power to be so stupid and gullible. Like maybe I don't know. Like, could you imagine like the Kek, the ancient god of chaos and darkness, whispering, "You know, you want to nuke the Russians." I mean, these people would believe it.
Well, Kek is the deification of the primordial concept of darkness in ancient Egyptian religion, embodying the time right before the dawn, making him the bringer of light. He's portrayed as a man with a frog head.
Maybe Olivia Nuzzi doesn't actually believe a word she says, but she thinks her audience will.
Yeah?
That's entirely possible, too.
Like an evangelist.
You're right.
You're
right.
All right, but now we're going to get really stupid. I know, it can get even dumber.
It's amazing.
Even dumber.
Like, journalism, you think you reach the bottom of the barrel, and journalism manages to it's a false bottom, friends. It's a false bottom. It's a false bottoms all the way down. Let's do it.
Female animals make themselves look ugly to avoid sexual harassment.
On Broadly.
Of course.
Oh, of course it's on Broadly. That makes perfect sense.
By Gabby Bess. All men are bad, even the non-human ones. We talked to an evolutionary biologist and author of a paper, Why Aren't Signals of Female Quality More Common? That suggests female animals have adapted their appearance to avoid them.
I mean, even the worst MGTOW sites, do they start with shit like all women are bad? And this is stuff where people are being paid to write by large sites. All men are bad. Just boldface, right? First fucking sentence. All men are bad. Even the non-human ones. Like even the animals. They also have the toxic masculinities, yo. Like, I give up. Like, it's so obvious at this point in time that if you are a woman and you're a feminist, you can be paid to write misandry. You are paid to create misandry. There is payment. There is a pay stub that essentially says, yes, I create misandry for a living. I create bigotry for a living. That is what I am paid for. And they still do not see the problem. Okay. I'm just saying.
No, I hear you. Let's delve into this science article. Just like human women who walk innocuously down the street on two legs, female animals also endure unwanted catcalls or worse from their male counterparts. It might be.
Yeah, I think this has to be sarcastic or satire or something.
Yeah, but are they satirizing the feminist hatred of men?
Maybe no. Broadly is a feminist website. But
they're not satirizing the feminist hatred of men. They think they're satirizing men.
Yeah. I think that maybe this is an example of one of those articles that's written in such a way that if you try to call bullshit, they'll say, "Hey, it's satire, bro. Chill out. Don't get so emotional."
I want to know how they're going to connect peacocks to human beings. Given that with peacocks, the males are the ones with the big
duct tape usually works.
And with
it's very upsetting.
Imagine the Newstead Abbey would have made our stay so much better. Duct taping people to peacocks.
Duct tape doesn't actually stick that well to other surfaces except for itself.
Peacocks. They're very greasy.
No. You just wrap it all the way around because it sticks great to itself.
That's exactly right, Hannah. That's how duct tape's supposed to work. All right, let's. So
evidently, peahens evolved to be less attractive than peacocks. And then we look at humans, and very much women are the ones who doll themselves up with our equivalent of peacock feathers. Does that mean men have made themselves less attractive to avoid sexual harassment from women? I want to see how you're going to tie this up in a beautiful sheep shank, lady.
All right, I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this, but as I understand it, most animals in most of the animal kingdoms where there's like some pair bonding or something of the sort, the male is the one that has to have the plumage, basically, or the mane, or whatever you call it. Okay, so, and while other animals haven't developed pepper spray or the vocalization to fuck off, they have their own defenses against unwanted sexual attention. Some female butterflies, for example, emit an anti-aphrodisiac when a male tries to mate with them after they have already mated with another male. The unpleasant substance drives horny males straight away. The female African swallowtail butterfly employs a unique tactic to avoid harassment. It dresses in drag by morphing its usual markings to resemble that of the black and yellow male. Okay. When animals try to mate with other animals, is it harassment? No. Now, a new paper from UK researchers at the University of Exeter, led by Professor David Hoskin, suggests female animals across most species have subtly weaponized their appearance. Weaponized appearances. Weaponized memes. What a time to be alive. Male animals typically attract female mates through flagrant visual displays that signal that they are the best reproductive choice. But males can also be discerning about their partner's appearance. In that case, Hoskin muses, why do females not signal their sexual quality via ornamental secondary sexual traits like males do? It's been observed that...
Breasts!
What?
Breasts! Well, first of all, there's a huge problem with this because women do have a sexual signal, a secondary sexual signal like men are male humans, and like these animals that have secondary sexual. We have breasts. There is absolutely no functional purpose to breasts except ornamental.
Yeah, but only mammals have breasts. But the thing is, this idiot is writing as if animals are entirely visual, like humans are. Like smell and is their biggest thing. A lot of them, and when they are visual, a lot of them they're not just looking at the spectrum of colors that we're looking at. So the idea that a visual display, lacking a visual display, is some sort of defense mechanism is bullshit. They have secondary sexual signals. They have pheromones.
Yeah. In fact, it would be the females that would be more visual, and the females emit scents in order to attract multiple males or a male. Like this doesn't even. Why do females not signal their sexual quality via ornamental secondary sex traits? Well, maybe because they signal it via smell. Like what? Is this for real? Is this real research? This is my question.
It's feminist research. Feminist research isn't real.
Okay, go ahead, Brian.
Okay.
It's only real, broadly speaking.
Oh!
There you go.
It's long been observed that females are typically less decorated than their male counterparts. The sexual dimorphism displayed amongst peacocks is an obvious example, but previous explanations for the penchant for drab plumage amongst female animals have focused on the increased need for females to camouflage from predators and conserve energy for reproduction. But Hoskin theorizes that, given that selection can favor female signals that reduce male harassment, such as emitting an anti-aphrodisiac or forming communities away from males entirely, it is very likely that the cost of male harassment could also select against ornaments that positively signal female quality, even if these ornaments would increase fitness in the absence of sexual harassment. In other words, Hoskin suggests that females look deceptively dull, in part to ward off unwanted male attention because the threat of sexual harassment outweighs the potential benefits of being able to attract a better mate. To test his theory, Hoskin told Broadly that he is currently doing work to determine if attractive females are more harassed than non-attractive females.
Which doesn't actually do anything. Hoskin, you're a fucking idiot. Like that doesn't. You'd also have to find if the attractive females have any cost to being. This is not.
Oh no. There's something even more simple than that. All right. Clearly, in the animal world, the male is the one that has to do the most work to attract a mate. Obviously, it's the attractiveness that has evolved, not the unattractiveness. And the reason I say that is, if you look at like ducks that are female, their unattractiveness, their plainness, also happens to make them very good at blending in with their surroundings. And if you look at a lot of other female animals, they have the same thing. Their plainness, their lack of decoration, their lack of bright, pretty colors makes it a lot easier for them to hide. So obviously they're the more protected species, whereas the males, who have to stand out to get the female's attention, can't afford to hide as easily, can't afford to be as camouflaged. In many species, obviously not all species are like that. I don't think male snow leopards look all that different from female snow leopards color-wise. They all are able to hide. But with this, like ducks and chickens and other birds are kind of immobilized when they're stuck sitting on their eggs. When they're stuck raising their babies. So it may not have how the female looks, may not have anything to do with sexuality, and may have everything to do with safety. And it may be only the male that had to evolve characteristics in order to ensure his ability to reproduce. But a feminist researcher wouldn't think of that.
I can't believe that they're using the word harassment to describe animal interactions.
Well, it's absolutely ridiculous.
It's it's completely retarded. I mean, you went full retard. You don't go full
Okay,
retard.
it's known that. Okay, I'm actually reading the original research. I can't believe that this fucking exists. Professor Hoskin, I don't know what was your brain replaced by a walnut.
This is our academic.
Yeah, this is the academic.
This is academia now. This is academia now.
This is our academia. No, we've just gone through the journalism where we have to conclude that journalists are retards. Now we have to conclude that whatever academic institution accepted Professor Hoskin and his bizarre bullshit has to be staffed by retards too. Okay. Previous research has suggested that females stayed without ornamentation because of a greater need for camouflage ornamentation would affect fecundity. In this paper, the researchers are proposing a new explanation. If we accept the premise, if we assume the premise, which we should be trying to prove, but we'll just assume it, that males, while not as choosy as females, still exert some choice of mate, then the question is, why don't females signal their sexual quality via ornamental sexual traits like males do? Because they signal it via hormonal signals. Maybe males have evolved physical or visual signals and females have evolved pheromonal signals. We suggest that if the female ornaments signaled their sexual quality, females could suffer increased sexual harassment by males, thus could be especially costly to fitness.
I'm really curious about something. I wonder how this guy interprets the fact that female dogs evolved a sphincter in their vag to keep the male inside until they're done fucking him. Because he can't get out.
Dogs are rapey.
Yeah.
Okay,
bitches be crazy.
Bitches be crazy, yes.
It's known that females go to great lengths to avoid male sexual harassment and signal their unattractiveness by disguising themselves as males. I've never heard of that. Moving to areas where there are fewer males. That's not uncommon, but it doesn't necessarily follow that they're hiding from sexual harassment. Using anti-aphrodisiacs and fighting off unwanted copulation. Males also fight off unwanted copulation, too. We're not suggesting that male harassment of attractive females is the only explanation for lack of sexual ornamentation in females. We want to alert researchers to the idea this could be a contributing factor, added Professor Hoskin.
Good grief.
Grief.
Part of me wonders, I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, so this guy's going to be studying this. And this seems to me that this guy created an area of research specifically so that he could sit around and watch animals get it on.
Yeah, I'm going with the walnut brain hypothesis.
Like something's kind of wrong here.
Okay, but here's the thing: females use pheromonal signals because they can bring in a number of males that they can then choose from based on their visual signals. If you see females attempting to increase their potential variety or quality of mates, that would be the strategy that they choose. Not looking attractive. It would be pointless to look attractive if you're the one being competed over. And all of this goes right out the window when it comes to human females, because human females have tits. Other female mammals do not have tits. They have nipples. And they occasionally have engorgement when they're actually nursing, but they do not have permanent fat-filled sacs on their chest. That's purely ornamental. There's no functional purpose to the continuous possession of a fat-filled sac on your chest, except a visual symbol of something, of sexuality, of fecundity. So human females actually evolved a visual signal of sexuality. So this doesn't even apply to human females. Apparently, human females invite the sexual harassment. Oh.
In the animal world, I don't think they have the concepts of sexual harassment, of consent. They don't have to deal with the bullshit that we have to deal with.
The other thing is that these butterflies, are they part of the insects that have the poisonous sperm? So yeah, when a female is impregnated, she doesn't want any more poisonous. There's all kinds of fucked up shit going on with reproduction in the insect kingdom.
In the animal world, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so
and that's the other thing. If he's looking at the animal world, is he picking and choosing based on what he wants to find? Because there's such a god awful variety of things to look at. Of different mating habits and things. Some animals try to kill each other after they mate. Some animals are monogamous. Some animals are polygamous. And what is he looking at?
well, I
There's
think
so many variables. How can he come to a real compelling conclusion?
on phys.org, it has Explore Further, and the thing linked to Explore Further that they have on this paper is Scientific Societies Speak Out Against Sexual Harassment. Okay, you know what, guys? We gotta burn it all down.
We got a foregone conclusion there, obviously.
We got government's got to be burnt. Not literally, of course. Government has to be burnt down. Journalism, media.
I think we literally burned some government tonight. I mean, Hillary Clinton's going to need some serious treatment after that show.
Sweet
Oh,
burn.
fucking hell.
Sweet burn, Hannah.
Nothing. There is nothing. There's nothing in our organized institutions that makes any goddamn sense anymore. It's beyond them being corrupt or evil. They're just plain fucking stupid. Just stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually take corrupt or evil over this like blank-faced, slack-jawed, drooling moron-acy. It's a bad time. It's a bad time when everything that's supposed to be leading us is just, it's so fucking stupid. I think that my cat should be our supreme leader now. I think she knows where it's at, friends. She's got a clue. She knows what she's doing. She's licking her anus, and that's what she's doing. That's good.
I at least she's not going to pass any stupid new laws.
Well, she might
legalize nip.
She might legalize anus licking in public. But there's a logic to it.
She'll make it legal to climb on all the kitchen counters and shit.
Yeah, it could be entertaining. All of that could be entertaining.
Yeah, it's a moronocracy.
A moronocracy.
A moronocracy. That's it. We're in a moronocracy. Nobody has a clue anymore. Nobody's got any part of the thread anymore.
An idiocracy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was all foreseen. All of it.
Yeah, all of it.
Oh God. Do we want to continue? I think we're done here.
No, I don't. There's nothing else. I don't think there's anything else.
You can discuss the craziness at Apple with the patrons, I think.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I'm not. Yeah, we can do that.
Oh, by the way, there's more sexual harassment shit going on at Apple. If you actually read the email, some guy at Apple, I mean, get this, it's so horrifying. He referenced that whole meme where they're saying, that guy was saying they're raping everyone up in here. You remember that meme? Hide your wives, hide your
Oh my God, yes.
People up. Yeah.
Yes, because they're raping everyone up in there, right? He referenced that because there was an intruder in Apple. And then a woman went apeshit.
Oh my God.
Hide your wife, hide your kids.
Oh, fuck you. It's like, what is it? I don't, there's nothing anymore to say. There is nothing. It's like, you just look at this shit and you're like, you know what? We're over. We're done.
Like, women act like that. Women act like that.
But there needs to be more women in STEM, y'all.
Yeah, then they wonder why they come up against, if there's a hostile environment, why could that possibly be there? Men bend over backwards to get women into STEM. Men bend over backwards to get women into every area of work, to just have women be around them. And then women act like that. And then men get cautious, and then women act like men are sexist for being cautious.
After reading this, I'm like, you know what? Segregating men and women seems more and more and more intelligent, because this is retarded. All this guy did, and he was apologizing profusely. All he did was just reference this stupid meme, and she went on a bender. Like,
obviously, she was familiar with it, though.
Yeah, of course she was familiar with it, because she knew he didn't even actually really reference rape. He just referenced the meme, and she went and she freaked the fuck out. And it's like, if you're gonna have that low level of tolerance of, I don't know, living in this world, Like the same level of tolerance that leads you to believe that Pepe is some sort of evil, demonic, nationalist
God of
symbol,
chaos.
god of chaos. Is there no discernment anymore anywhere? Okay, I'm done. You know what, Brian? Let's end this. I don't want to go into it.
All right,
The authoritarians are getting senile.
we're getting out of here.
Yes.
I'll leave a link to the Apple thing and all the other stuff in the low bar. Thanks for grinding through this shit with us. And yeah, leave a comment, please. We want to hear what you have to say.
Okay, let me ask you all our listeners. Let me ask you: is it worse if the government, if the people in power are totally corrupt and evil, or is it worse if they are this stupid? Like just not even uninformed or ignorant, just stupid.
No, I think that that's tough, but being stupid is pretty bad because you could react in a really dumb way to something really innocuous.
I mean,
like
even with
fraud.
evil, you can rely on their self-interest, right? But what with stupid, you can't. There's nothing there. There's nothing to trust. It's all just circling the drain. That's it. And you can't trust their self-interest because they're too stupid to recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
I have something that I wanted to say. South Park started back up yesterday, from what I heard. I haven't had a chance to watch it. So
Pretty fucking awesome, you guys.
New season of South Park just
You
began.
will enjoy it.
I do intend to watch it.
And I have a message for Trey Parker and Matt Stone. They may not see this, but maybe they do. Who knows? I mean, who knows? You guys have got to put Pepe in an episode of South Park. You have to. You have to put him in there. Even if it's just a little cameo, put Pepe in an episode of South Park this season. It will be magical. It will be magical. And I think that, and make it rare. Make it super unique. All right, that's all I'm saying. And if you guys disagree, then leave a comment. But I think that should happen. So, it'd be perfect.
Give us your rare Pepes.
Yes.
Praise Keck.
Praise Keck. For he is benevolent and all-knowing. And, yeah, that's it.